The Center for the Study of the Presidency and Congress would like to thank our trustee, Mr. Robert Day, for his generous support.
The political system, the leaders of our government in Washington have become so driven by either partisanship or ideological rigidity that they seem to have lost the capability to build bridges and find common ground, make the compromises that since the beginning of the country have been necessary to get things done.
At the very time when we're facing some very serious issues, the Congress itself is more or less deadlocked on an ongoing basis.
I travel the world, and I must tell you I'm embarrassed to see some of the statements coming out of members of Congress on both sides of the aisle.
This is what George Washington, our benighted and wonderful first president, warned about in his farewell address, that loyalty to what he called faction, which he really meant party or ideological group, will become greater than loyalty to country, and the country would lose its unity. And he said, and of course this was the generation that declared their independence, if America was not unified, we would lose that independence. Well, this is a long time later, and we're not going to lose our independence. But unless we figure out how to work together, we're going to lose our greatness.
The reality in Washington right now is a Democratic president, a Republican House, a Democratic Senate, but with the Republicans having substantial power because of the rules. That reality means nothing happens around here without votes from both sides. And one of the odd things I've noticed, having been here for a year, is that everybody seems to think they run the place.
So we've got work to do, and that means healing ourselves. That means getting our fiscal house in order. It means rallying around and coming to a consensus on key issues that affect the overwhelming majority of the American people. Unless we're able to do that, then frankly, we're going to see our influence in the world decline.
In 2008, Dr. David Abshire issued a profound warning to American leaders in all walks of life in his book, A Call to Greatness. The work recognized the inherent challenges of our time, overwhelming dangers facing our American society from all fronts: political, military, economic, and cultural. He said that to address the complex problems we face in the 21st century would require true statesmen, willing to rise above deeply embedded divisions to help lead our country into the next American century.
The country is in trouble. We need people that are going to lead, but leading is not the charge of the Light Brigade. The leading is being able to put together new pathways, new routes, and bring new people onto the team to be successful.
Tonight we have the unique opportunity to honor two great Americans who have responded to that challenge. Together, they are answering the call to greatness. This honor is the latest in a long line of awards bestowed by the Center for the Study of the Presidency and Congress, recognizing leaders of grace and civility who are uniquely capable of guiding our troubled nation through the storms of the modern era. Recognizing, studying, and promoting character-based servant leadership is at the very heart of the Center's mission.
This organization was founded half a century ago at the behest of Dwight Eisenhower, who felt you needed an institution to protect the lessons of history. He felt as president he would have been better served if he had a better appreciation and understanding for the challenges that his predecessors had faced. And I think our hope as a center is to bring some of these lessons to the policy challenges of today.
Tonight, the Center for the Study of the Presidency and Congress is proud to present our highest honor, the Publius Award, to two great American statesmen whose commitment to this higher purpose is having a profound impact on our nation.
I think what's exciting about this Publius Award is we're able to honor leaders. We're able to honor public servants who, even though they come from different schools, even though they may come from different parties, they're able to rise above that, and they're able to see how to address these challenges of the United States in a bipartisan way.
If a majority of people in the Senate were Susan Collins, the U.S. Senate would be getting things done. The U.S. Senate would be solving our nation's problems, and the people would be much happier. The economy would be booming, people would be safer.
What do you want in the way of leadership? You want people who are honest, who are honorable, who are highly intelligent, who are open to ideas from whatever source, and say, if I find a Democrat who has a good idea, I'm prepared to accept that. If I'm a Democrat and I see that Republicans have offered something that makes sense to me, I should be open to that. With Senator Collins, she has all of those characteristics.
Throughout her congressional career, Senator Susan Collins has worked unceasingly for the people of her state and the nation as a whole. Immediately after graduating from St. Lawrence University in Canton, New York, she began her career in public service as a legislative assistant to then Representative and future Senator William Cohen from Maine. From her long experience of nearly 4 decades of government service, Senator Collins has gained an understanding like few others for the inner workings of government and has known how to move the nation's agenda forward with a sense of fairness and justice that far transcends ideology and party politics. First elected in 1996, Senator Collins is serving her 3rd term in the United States Senate. Her record of legislative accomplishments spans a wide range of critical issues, from homeland security and national defense to disaster response, education, business development, and health care. Senator Collins' accomplishments range from the repeal of a $50 billion tax break for the tobacco industry to a major overhaul of our nation's intelligence community. As the first freshman senator ever to serve as chairman of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, Senator Collins directed landmark investigations into waste and fraud in government and corporate malfeasance, one of which uncovered $26 billion in Medicare fraud, while yet another represented the most comprehensive congressional investigation of the Enron scandal. Nowhere has her influence been more important than in the area of national security. After her re-election in 2002, Senator Collins became chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. In 2004, she co-authored the Collins-Lieberman Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act, which represented the most sweeping changes in America's intelligence community in a half-century. Susan Collins is not only an effective and committed advocate for Maine families, she is a proven national leader, respected by colleagues on both sides of the aisle. She is also recognized as one of the hardest working members of Congress. During her entire time in the U.S. Senate, she has never missed a roll call vote, casting more than 5,000 consecutive votes.
Susan is one of the most influential people on the Hill right now by virtue of her willingness to break the party line that says no dealing with Obama on anything, no dealing with the Democrats on anything. Say, no, let's deal with ideas. And if they've got an idea, let's see if we can make it work.
I was impressed by Susan Collins' role in the ill-advised government shutdown. I mean, she very painstakingly pulled together a group of Democrats and Republicans. I think there must have been 12, 14, 16. And they came up with a formula for reopening the government at a time when the House couldn't produce a result and the Senate wasn't producing a result. And when finally the Senate took the lead in reopening the government after 17 days, it was Susan Collins' formula and her bipartisan group of senators that provided the basis for the solution to the problem.
Really, as I look back at my 24 years in the Senate, the work that I did with Susan, particularly after 9/11, on the Department of Homeland Security, the 9/11 Commission, the 9/11 reforms to our intelligence community, the investigation of what happened that was so unacceptable during Hurricane Katrina, our work on extremism and homegrown extremism, the investigation we did into the murders at Fort Hood by Dr. Hassan. I mean, these are some of the things I'm proudest of. And, you know, sure, she had the label Republican, I had the label Democrat, then Independent, but it didn't matter. We were just two senators, two colleagues, two friends, trying to get some things done for the country we love.
After serving in the West Virginia House and Senate, and then as Secretary of State from 2001 to 2005, Joe Manchin was elected governor of West Virginia in 2005, where he served until he was sworn into the United States Senate on November 15, 2010, to fill the seat left vacant by the late Senator Robert C. Byrd. Throughout his career in public service, Joe Manchin's remarkable leadership skills, his business acumen, his common sense approach to problem-solving and complex issues, and his ability to bring people together have produced nothing less than extraordinary results. From his days as a state legislator, to his 6 years as governor, to his current role, Senator Manchin has always been committed to his philosophy of what he calls retail government. That is, connecting with all of his constituents and making service to them his top priority. Throughout his public life, he has never let politics or ideology stand in the way of common sense solutions. Instead, he believes that only by putting politics aside and working hard to bring people together can he do what is right for West Virginia and right for the nation.
Joe Manchin is my best friend in the Senate because he is an independent thinker, always putting the people of West Virginia first.
I said, yeah, Joe, come on up here. It'll be fun all the time. He has reminded me of that a number of times because I know he, like me and many of us who were governors before, have had some frustrating moments.
At a time when our country is plagued by partisanship, we need leaders who can reach across the aisle and get things done. There's no one who works harder and more successfully at it than Joe Manchin.
Joe Manchin's character that I admire the most is he likes to get results. And that's because he's been a governor. You know, I tell my Senate colleagues that one former governor is worth 5 of anything else, which doesn't make very many of my colleagues happy because, well, they're not governors.
During his term as governor, he worked closely with Republicans and Democrats to cut taxes, reduce regulations, attract a record number of corporate investments, create new jobs, and expand vital social services for seniors and the poor, all while leaving the state with budget surpluses every single year. As a senator, Joe Manchin has brought that same spirit of bipartisanship to Washington. As he has done throughout his entire life, he remains committed to working with both Republicans and Democrats to find common sense solutions to the problems our country faces, and is working hard to usher in a new bipartisan spirit in the Senate and Congress.
I remember when Joe moved into his Senate office. He told me, I'm going to bring my own rug. You see, Joe was a carpet salesman early in his career. And you know what? That was indicative of Joe. He does it himself. He doesn't wait for somebody else. And when he wants to create a compromise, he himself will go from office to office, trying to find members who can work with him.
Sometimes Joe and I have been sitting in his office, a couple of beers around, and once word gets out that a Republican and a Democrat are sitting down a cordial situation where everyone is welcome, we start getting more and more senators showing up. People want to be in that environment where they can say, this is what I've heard about your side. It's not going to be some sort of a contentious thing, and whatever's said in the room is not going to appear in your next campaign.
Legislatively, job creation is Senator Manchin's top priority, and he believes that government should act as a partner, not an adversary, in helping create an environment that produces good American jobs. He also believes that our nation can and must do what he did in West Virginia, put our fiscal house in order, finding common sense ways to cut spending while keeping our promises to our seniors and veterans by protecting Social Security and Medicare. Senator Manchin is a tireless worker, currently serving on the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee, the Senate Armed Services Committee, the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, and the Senate Special Committee on Aging, 4 critical committees that tackle the important work of addressing our nation's energy needs, standing up for the military, defending our small banks and local credit unions, helping the housing market recover, and keeping our promises to seniors. Importantly, no matter what the issue, there is no one today that has so consistently displayed the willingness to compromise and work strategically across the great political divide for the good of our nation. His historical perspective, his institutional knowledge, his innate insight into the complexities of global politics, coupled with a myopic focus on protecting the interests and security of America, have allowed Senator Manchin to make an enduring contribution to our nation.
I would say wherever Joe Manchin or Susan Collins are working, you're going to find the center of action in the Senate where something's actually going to happen on a bipartisan basis with an overwhelming consensus.
That's why Collins and Manchin are so important to this institution, because they respect other people, they listen, but fundamentally they want to get things done.
I think they both kind of represent that willingness to make those friendships, to reach out, and I think they're both the kind of members who realize at the end of the day, it's about what's in the country's best interest, and if that sometimes means you got to run afoul of your own party, well, so be it.
For their courage and convictions, for their willingness to rise above their differences, for their grace and civility, and dedication to work together to guide our country into the future, the Center for the Study of the Presidency and Congress is proud to present the 2014 Publius Award to Senator Susan Collins of Maine and Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia.